Welcome back, Bravehearts. I'm Dr. Darrell Wolf, and this is DocStar TV. And today we have where we're going to be talking about gut problems and eye disorders. Okay, and how are you?
I'm doing good.
Okay, would you like to tell everybody who you are?
My name is Debbie Neal, and I'm from San Antonio, Texas, capital city allergy here. And just to give you a little bit of background about my history, I've had a total hysterectomy. I've had my gallbladder removed. I've had my appendix removed. I've had my turbinates resected. I've broken my nose several times. And I've had a 3-level dysfusion as well. So
okay, now Debbie, we need to talk about this, because guess what? You have a lot, okay, not a lot, but you have some subconscious, unconscious programs that are in total disrespect of yourself. Okay? And I need you to try to listen to me, because isn't it kind of funny, Debbie, how most Americans are sick? Isn't it kind of funny? Most Americans are sick, and we've had all these medical breakthroughs, and people are sicker today than they've been in the whole history of this go-around. Isn't it kind of funny how you keep giving up parts of your body and going in and telling parts of your body that they're not good enough to do the job? Isn't it kind of funny that you go to people that believe that things aren't curable and that things aren't reversible, and they're going and getting rid of them? What was your, let's lovingly go through this, because I want to show you something. And guess what? You don't need to change your health. You need to change your thoughts. You need to change your thoughts big time. I'm going to tell you something. My father and my father's mother, and he got that from her, got this belief that if we just kept cutting things out every few years, we could stay healthy. But little did they know that it was a deep down resentment, dislike for themselves. And that was the problem, that they weren't good enough. Nothing about them was good enough. And if I were to go through your emotional history, your biggest thing is that you're just not good enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not smart enough. You're not fast enough. You can't do enough. So if you're not enough, you're going to give things away. And you've been giving things away all your life. And you know, you can say, you don't know what you're talking about, Dr. Wolf, and that's okay, because I do. I've got 30 years of psychology. I got 30 years of psychology, and I'm trying to tell you something. Okay, so let's talk about your first surgery. When did that happen?
Oh, I was about 11 or 12 years old. I had my first surgery. I had ovarian cyst.
Okay, so let's go. Let's bring down the curtain right now, everybody, and just stop it. Stop it. So how old were you when you had cysts on your ovaries?
11.
11 years old. Okay, so Debbie was born constipated. Debbie was born constipated because her mother was born constipated, and her mother didn't eat right. And we're not going to blame her mother. We're not blaming anybody for anything, because that's just horse crap going back. You know what? I'm going to tell you something. Does anybody understand something? How many girls had ovarian cysts at the age of what, Debbie?
11.
Okay, well, 12. You're not going to find anyone. You're not going to find anyone. So then they're going to tell you that it runs in the family, and there's no illness that runs in the family except mental illness, because of the beliefs that you learned from your mother and father, or from the so-called great teachers that we have, which most teachers aren't worth their salt. Okay, because guess what? And people don't like the way I talk, but guess what? You know, I posted this thing 2 days ago, and it's teachers leave those kids alone. And understand something, there's very few teachers that should ever have their hands on your kids or teaching your kids anything, okay? Because they're all programmed. Now listen to this. Somebody says they were born with spinal bifida. I'll come back to this later. I'll take a look at this. You weren't born with spinal bifida. You got spinal bifida when you were in the womb because your mother had a terrorizing life. That's why you got spinal bifida. Okay, it's a calcium product, pulling calcium from the bones. That's what spinal bifida is. Okay, understand something. Women do not know today, okay, before they knew because everything was natural, everything was nature. Today, every woman's been programmed to give up her parts. Every woman's been programmed today to not eat right or treat themselves right even when they are pregnant, okay? So get that. You know, I got to tell you something, guys. I don't know how, you know, no matter how many years I'm going to be here from now on, I'm going to tell the truth. Every time I come on here and tell the truth, I got people doing spitballs at me. And the reality is this, why do you come on? Why do you ask for a consult? Why do people come to me if they don't want the truth? I'm not angry. I'm not upset. But, you know, nobody wants the truth. They just want to be stroked. So let me go through each with you, Debbie. I'm going to go through each surgery with you, and then tell me if I'm telling you 1 and 1 or 2, okay, or if I'm telling you 1 and 1 or 11 like you actually believe. And believe me, 9,999 people out of 10,000 believe that 1 and 1 is 11. Because you know why? Because they don't become their own detective, they don't understand nature, and they don't understand God. They don't understand anything. People are religious, but that doesn't mean they understand God. That doesn't mean they understand nature. My God, you know, people come in and go, you know, if it's in God's hands. Oh, really? No, it's actually should be in your brain first and in your hands. And when people say that to me and I just go, oh gosh, do I have to do this? Do I really need to do this? So let me just say this, and I'm going to make this really clear. When you had ovarian cysts on your ovaries at 11, okay, your bowels weren't moving since before you were born properly. Okay, you had constipation, diarrhea, painful cramps. I could keep going on and on. And guess what? And the medical doctors couldn't do anything back then except give you antibiotics or just send you home. But guess what? That was not what you needed. Antibiotics are a form of light chemo. Did you know that? They go in and they blow things up like bacteria. So they try to kill the bad bacteria, but they end up hurting the good bacteria. So understand that's why we're in a mess today. Nobody should be doing antibiotics unless they're in a life-threatening situation, or go ahead and do them if you want to be in a life-threatening situation. And the reality is this. I know what I'm talking about, okay? All right? It's a form of chemo. I said it works similar to chemo, okay? It's knocking out things. That's what I meant. I didn't say it's like chemo. It's like in the way that it works. We're always trying to go in and kill things, aren't we? Did you ever notice that? Did you ever notice when you go to the doctor, you're always going in to try to kill something? Well, what about going in and loving something? What about going in and loving something? Okay? That's what we want to do. Hold on 1 second, would you? Bear with me. Give me 1 second. Bear with me. Wow. Okay. Give me 1 second. I lost Instagram, and I'm just going to see if I can get them back on, if that's okay.
Yeah, take your time.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm going to speak very slowly, and I want you to try to understand this, okay? Okay. I want you to understand what I'm saying. So here's the deal. Do you know that a cyst is made out of dead bacteria, okay, decaying cells and pus. Okay? Now, why would you get those things? Well, you have what's called your pelvic girdle. You have your large intestine. The large intestine is 85% of the immune system of a human. People don't know that. Isn't it kind of funny how we are actually taught to attack our large intestine, to actually believe it's nothing but a garbage can, and all that comes out is stinky poop? Meanwhile, it's actually a compost, and what you put in your mouth, okay? And what you put in your mouth, it travels 30 feet. And when it gets down to the large intestine, it's supposed to be fermenting, to help to ferment, and then actually to make mother's bacteria, which is the only bacteria that's worth anything in a human, is your mother's bacteria, to make that stronger again. So your large intestine is 85% of your immune system. It's also your compost. It's the compost for creating good bacteria and healthy bugs like yeast, okay, and like good bacteria and many different types of bacteria. All right, are you with me?
Yeah.
Okay, so now, how could your pelvic girdle get so infected that it would actually cause sacs of pus to grow on your ovaries? Now, see, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Every human being needs to know this, right? Yes or no? And you don't know this. So here's a surgery, and when I'm talking to you, I'm not talking to you because you're not dumb. We all were dumbed down. The only reason why I know this stuff is not because I'm smarter than anybody else, because I'm not. My grandfather died of colon cancer. Passed on, I should say, not died. But his colon died. But my grandfather passed on because of colon cancer when I was 17 years old. When I was 19 years old, I hitchhiked to Gary, Indiana to become a colon therapist. I had to hitchhike because I didn't have enough money just to pay for the course. And then I hitchhiked back home. And the reality is it was a course on how to become a colon therapist. So that was the starting point. And understand something. There is no medical doctor. There is no naturopathic doctor that will actually debate me or challenge me on these topics at certain things. All right? And this is one of those things that I'm good at. When I was very young and I was only 26 years old, I opened up the North American Institute for the Advancement of Colon Therapy. When I was 32 years old, my colon therapy manual was used by a United States Senate group to study colon cancer. So I'm just giving you a little bit of background, okay? So now, understand something. There's not one part of your body where you have what we call a dis-ease, okay? And a dis-ease means you're out of alignment, out of harmony, and it means that tissue, okay, is infected and inflamed, and if it doesn't get looked after, it's going to rot out. And whether you believe this or not, I can tell you right now that over 90% of the population right now is rotting out in their pelvis. They're rotting out in their pelvis because of all the antibiotics that are in all of the byproducts of animal products, unless they're free range and organic. They're in the meat, and they're laced in the meat because they don't give animals antibiotics because they're sick. They give them because in case they get sick, which really that's just BS, because they're actually putting the antibiotics in the animals because guess what it does to humans when they eat the animals? It's like they're still taking antibiotics. Are you with me yet?
Yeah.
Now, the reality is this.